Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenMara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you happen to be seeing this, I would like to offer your June bonus reading for the elemental energy of Earth. Earth covers the zodiac signs of Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So if you are a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, or have Earth high up in your charts, this message is for you. There's also some interesting stuff down in the description, the links to the cards that I'm using today, and also there's a natal chart if you are never had yours done before and you would like to know a little bit more. There's a cool one down there. It's not an affiliate link or anything like that, but it is a good tool. It gives you the base 12 houses with all the little signs and symbols, and then there's 10 to 20 pages, depending on what's all in there, of the information to kind of give you an idea of what all that means. But it's a good way to just get a little bit of an idea of how all of that stuff applies to your life. And I can say from experience, that's the one that I use the most frequently, and I go back to it quite frequently just because there's always something new. You never quite know what else might be coming forward. So but it talks about generations, it talks about the elemental alignments, it talks about what do the different planets in the different houses mean, and how does that apply to kind of you as a person, as a soul, as a being. So it might be worth checking out if you're interested. And I'm just getting the last of the cards pulled here. So for our bonus readings, I like to do just a basic Celtic cross, and then we pull a couple of oracle cards at the end. And with this reading, we are starting off with your significator. This is the card of who you are kind of in totality in this moment. And you're starting off, Earth, with the Eight of Cups. So this one is an interesting card because there's like two different aspects that come forward here. One, the mystery of your emotions, but it's also saying that you know where your emotions are at, and you kind of know what's triggering different responses within you. But there's this energy of something hidden, a little bit secret, like you're keeping some of your emotional states to yourself, like you're not showing them to everybody. We have the moon showing up here as well, and this is a water card, so it's definitely dealing with emotions, feelings, but with the moon, it's showing this intuitive aspect to you. Like, you're aware of how you feel, but you're also aware of how other people respond to you. So where you're standing in this moment is there's a lot of awareness, but there's also some mystery. And it's what I'm carrying specifically for you is it's the mystery of what other people don't quite understand. Like, they watch how you act and they're like, wait a minute, there's something that we're not catching here. And what I'm hearing is that's also part of your ability to stay grounded, is you don't share everything with everybody, Earth, and that's allowing you to keep some of that stuff to yourself. I read intuitively, so the cards, from whatever the cards mean originally, I go with what my guides bring in. So that's what I'm getting with that one. The energy that's crossing you is the shaman. In the traditional tarot, this is the magician. And what I'm getting with this one is you have the tools, but you're not sure how to use them. And that's not a negative thing. That's actually a huge benefit to you, because that's saying now you have new things you can learn. And Earth, there's always something new to learn, and that's part of what's going on. Your energy is this pentacle coin up here, but you've got the fire with wands, you've got the air with swords, and you have the chalice right here with the water, but the water's full of fire. So what you're getting here is there's some passion overflowing. There's this energy that's coming up here that's kind of your challenge, is you want to understand more about what's going on, but you're not sure how to go about it. You have all of these energies coming up with the Eight of Cups as your current state, where you know there's a lot of things moving. Your emotions are kind of a little bit all over the place, and it's a little bit mysterious to other people. But what you're kind of, excuse me, the stumbling block that I'm seeing right now is the fact that yes, this is what's going on, and you're aware of it, but now what do you do with it? And that's what I'm getting for your challenge right here. So your higher self, This is the Seven of Swords. This is actually a contrary energy to you because swords are air. So this is your higher self is saying this is not something that is going to be easy for you to work with. And it is, you know what you know. You also know that you don't know certain things. You have someone else coming in trying to give you unwarranted advice. I'm getting this impression that there's this person where you're gnawing on the bone. You're going to learn it yourself. You're going to do the thing. But there's someone else coming in saying, if you would just do it this way, it wouldn't be this difficult. That's not beneficial and that's not helpful. But that's what I'm getting here is you fought your wars. You've earned your position. You still have some fight in you. So it's not like you're giving up here. But it's like, why do you have to... Why is this other person coming in? Your higher self is saying, it might not be a bad idea to hear them out. It does not mean in any way, shape, or form to take their advice. But maybe just hear what they have to say. That way it's not so much of a, I've got to stand up and fight this. It's more of, I'm going to hear you out, but then I'm going to also let you know that I don't appreciate this. So you've got this interesting push-pull energy in Earth. You can be a little bullheaded, a little stubborn. We all have that, but Earth, this is an art form for Earth. But what I'm hearing with this one is, this is that overcoming that urge just to shut down the discussion, because air is intellectual, it's all about communication. And what the higher self is saying, listen, hear them out, and then adjust and address the situation as needed. And it's always acceptable to remind them, hey, you know what? When I come to you for advice, that's one thing, but you're just bringing me things at this point, and I have some stuff that I'm working through. If I need help, let's discuss it then. That's what I'm getting for the higher self energy that's coming in, is don't shut down the door, but maybe just remind them that, you know, there's better ways to do this. Your shadow self, and this is an interesting card for your shadow. I see the shadow as where we put all the stuff that we don't want to deal with, the stuff that we repress, the stuff we're told we're not good enough for. But there's always these little gems that are hiding amongst that. Your shadow energy is bringing forward the Queen of Pentacles. This is your energy. It's really about all of the things that you've shoved into the shadow, the things you don't want to talk about, the things you don't want to deal with, the things that your pastor or your rabbi said, those just aren't good, or the things that your parents are like, oh, don't do that, no. These are all the things that are actually seeds that were planted because you didn't want to, at the time, you weren't ready to deal with them, or you didn't know how to deal with them, so into the shadow they went. And now they're planted. There's things that are going to be coming forward where you're like, yeah, but I'm not supposed to feel that way. Or you could use that as something to grow from, because your challenge this month, the thing that is crossing you, the thing that is not in your favor, is the shaman, the magician. Meaning there are some tools, there are some skills, there's something that you don't have mastery of yet. That is your challenge. Well, with your shadow bringing forward all of this repressed stuff that you've been putting aside, I'll deal with it later. Those are seeds that are planting, and they're coming to fruition. There's something coming forward, and they're saying there's going to be 2 of them for Earth this month. So, however that plays out for you. But you definitely have some things coming forward, and as these seeds become plants or eggs hatching, or however you want to see the allegory, that's when you start to understand the tools. That's when you start to overcome the challenge of maybe not knowing why, but then coming to the understanding of, okay, now I get it. So, Earth, you are the type of person to learn hands-on anyway, so this is actually working in your favor, even though your higher self is bringing in this air communication sword energy that is not comfortable for you. So, your immediate history, been going through it a little bit, Earth, is what I'm hearing. Sorry about that. You have the 5 of Wands, meaning your recent history, 1 month, 6 months, or a year, there's been some kind of combative nature. It's been something that you're passionate about, but it's caused a lot of friction with people. The other word I keep seeing brought forward here is strife. There's been some things in your immediate history that have set things in motion that you may not have wanted to go the way they did. And that actually ties into that higher self shadow line you've got here, where your higher self is like, hear him out and maybe just remind him, let me come to you next time. But your shadow's like, you have so many gifts and talents that are unrecognized. And when we look at it from this perspective, if I can get these lined up correctly, you have this tower of knowledge, shadow, or higher self, challenge, shadow. And this is what yours looks like. Higher self is saying, hear them out, but you don't have to take everything they say as gospel. Your challenge is you don't have the mastery of the four elements. There are things right now that you are not understanding, but it's time to go to school, so to speak. But your shadow, and this is actually an important shadow, there are people here to support you. There are people here to help you through this. But you have a lot of potential that is coming available to you. These are lessons that you have put off for the time because you weren't ready for them at that moment. Now it's time to really start using them. And I keep hearing this word about your sexuality, and again, this has nothing to do with anything other than this is the message I'm coming forward. So there may be something that you have not wanted to acknowledge, or something that you have put your own needs on the back burner, where you're always taking care of the partner, but you're not getting you're not being satisfied. So it could be something along those lines. There's a lot of potential options with this one. When we're talking about the shadow, there is so much in there, but this is the stuff that's coming forward. They're also saying that you have, and this is just everyday life work specifically, you have put yourself on, I'm not worthy of that promotion, so I just won't apply, but I'm going to help support this person. I'm not going to step into that managerial role, but I'm going to help this other person get it. They're saying enough with putting yourself on the back burner, Earth. It's time to maybe step into, or at least maybe re-examine why you keep putting yourself as a second. And that's part of that shadow energy, is basically calling you out. Like, why do you keep doing this? Why? You have these skills, you have this ability. You're purposely ignoring what we're offering. The shadow energy is coming forward. So that's where we're at with your shadow. And your immediate past. Let's take a peek at your immediate future, the next month, 6 months, or a year. We have the Four of Swords. We're still dealing with that challenging energy. But what I'm hearing is the battle that you've been dealing with that Five of Wands, is now kind of at a close. It's now time for rest. This is a time for licking the wounds, recovering, and integrating the lessons that you've learned. This is where, when you've overcome the challenge of the shaman, of the magician, of getting to understand why you have all these things coming up, and when you bring into alignment your shadow's energy and these eggs that are hatching, this is where now it's time to rest and recover. This is the time of, we all know that Earth can go to war. That is not up for a question. We all are very aware of this. You have the strength to deal with the things that are coming forward in your life. You obviously have already done so, and you're ready if another one shows up. But what it's also saying is, you don't have to live in that state of, I have to be always on edge and always fighting. That adrenaline up here state is not always necessary. And what they're saying going forward is, find ways to be more at peace with how things are, finding that balance again. And I believe it's Virgo's the one that's better at the balancing stuff. So maybe tap into that energy and really bring yourself more into a state of peaceful alignment. Fire. I'm looking at the fire card. Earth, you have fought your battles. It's now time to integrate the lessons and understand what source is bringing forward. The things that your shadow has, and whatever's popping to your mind in this moment, might be what's time to examine that, see what's going on. What shadow is bringing forward is saying, you had to push this back because at the time you weren't in a situation where you could deal with it. Now you are, and now you can see this actually isn't a bad thing. It just needs to be trained in how to use it. So you've got a lot of potential, and that's where this understanding that and then taking the rest to actually integrate these lessons is so important. So now we're going to hop into the, if you do the standard Celtic cross, this is the side what goes up. This is your attitude. This is where you are at inside and how you're viewing the world at this moment. You have number 14, the Temperance card. It is a call for balance and understanding. Your inner attitude, this is how you're viewing the world right now, is you're seeking balance. You want to understand, why is this going on? What is not working? And how do I fix it? Earth, you love to fix the problems. That's kind of your thing. You're solution driven, which is great. Don't get too bullheaded in thinking that you're the only one that can do it, because the energy that I'm getting is there are those who want to help you. And that's what we got going on down here with the rabbits next to the dragon. There are people who are willing to help you. And your current attitude is saying, I'm looking for balance. I need to understand what's happening. And that might be one of those things where your spouse or your inner circle, those friends that are closest to you, talking to them and just letting things come through. And remember, your higher self is saying, hear them out. It's not worth fighting about it. If they're overstepping, let them know that that's not acceptable. But there's something that is coming forward through that vein that you need to hear, you don't want to hear. So it's worth just looking and listening to what these people are saying. Your outside environment, I'm feeling very strongly that this is something that is being viewed as this situation, but it's an illusion. It's not things are not the way they seem. We'll start with that before I even show the card. We have the Seven of Wands, which is a lot of the times you're standing up and you're one against the world. And what I'm hearing is, it's not one against the world, it's, why is everyone picking on me? That's the environment outside, is you feel like they're coming at you and they're just wanting to, well, you did, or you need to, and they might be coming across that way. That's that higher self saying, just remind them that there's better ways to do this. But there is some pushback. But that's where that need for balance with temperance, you want to find the balance, but the outside environment feels hostile towards you. And it could be, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is all rainbows and butterflies. There could be some things that are being a little more aggressive than necessary, but that's where tapping into that Seven of Swords, saying, settle down. I want to hear what you have to say. Can you please tone this down a little bit? And that is within your sovereign right. You're a spiritual being. You are fully in control of this. You have the right to say, I want to hear what you have to say. Can you bring it down a notch? I don't want to be screamed at, or I don't need it in that tone. And I am very guilty of this. There are times where my tone is way meaner than I mean it to be. And it's not that I'm hostile. I'm passionate about the subject. So, and that's what could be happening here. And that's where, be open to the communication. That's getting into that balance. Stay Earth is going to be very valuable for you for this month. Your hopes and fears, everything here going on, is the Two of Swords. Your hope is to be healed from this. Your hope is to learn and grow. The fear is being isolated. And my guides are being really pushy right now. They're wanting to make sure that you know you're not isolated. You're not alone. This is something that is going on to help you understand yourself better. Your hope is to grow, to integrate, and to come out on the other side shining. The fear is being cut off from others. And they want to bring it very broadly to the forefront here. You're not being cut off unless you choose to be. And there's times where we feel like we need to do that. But in this situation, be aware that that is actually an illusion. The people who are supporting you in your shadow I'm just keep going back to this card. These 2 to 3 people are willing to literally go through hell or fire or whatever you want to call it to help you. Don't push them away. Listen to what they have to say. And like I said, if they get a little aggressive about it, ask them to tone it down. You're within your right to do so. But the fear of being isolated is not as real as you might think it is. You're not going, this is a weird way to phrase this, you're not going crazy, you're going growth. So there's some changes that have to happen, and those are not always comfortable. So your overall outcome is the 8 of Swords. Cut yourself free from the illusion of doubt. Cut yourself free from the illusion of fear. The overall outcome is Earth, the illusion of the air swords holding you back is simply that. It is not as real as it may seem. That's where the knowledge, that's where the understanding, that's where these lessons that are being offered to you right now are so valuable. You are in this amazing place to learn and to grow, to understand the motivations behind the veil. Going back to your 8 of Cups, this is who you are in the moment. This is you in totality. There's mystery. You understand, but you're keeping things quiet. You're keeping some things to your chest. And in doing so, you may have accidentally shoved some of these things directly into the shadow. The shadow's like, dude, you've got this stuff available to you. Let's work on it. Let's bring it to the forefront, and let's grow beyond it. Your higher self wants to remind you there may be things that you need to hear, but you don't want to hear. And sometimes that's where you communicate and you bring that forward so that you can open that door to the communication. The underlying theme here, though, is the High Priestess calling upon your intuition, starting to understand where you are and your connection to God's Source Divine. You stand between the pillars of beauty and severity. You stand between the pillars of balance. The moon is calling you to tap into your intuition. You have the moon twice in this reading. Actually 3 times. Because this is the underlying theme, is the High Priestess wants to bring this intuitive information, this subtle energy forward. You want to understand and find yourself in balance. Your card is a Knight card. Up in the top right here, if I can get, there it is. You have the moon. The 2 of Swords in your hopes is the moon. This is calling you to work with, first of all, your intuition. Second of all, if you have a water sign that is close to you, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, let's say Cancer and Pisces on this one. Scorpio is probably not your best friend right now. They'll be good to be blunt and honest, probably not the best healer. But what I'm getting here is this is the time for you to maybe reach out to that person and be like, help me understand this. I know I've got this emotional basket case thing going on, because that's how I look at my life. And how do I fix it? What am I doing? What do I need to do different? And this is a really, like I said, it's a really good lesson time for our Earth family. And it, don't let your Taurus bullheadedness, because I know a lot of Tauruses that are bullheaded, so that's where I'm going with that. If you're not, great. That's even better. But don't let that kind of mindset block you off from the growth that is being offered to you right now. The universe is saying, this may not be the easiest thing, but it's the best thing. And it's going to put you in a really good spot by the end when we cut away the illusions and realize you weren't trapped in the first place. You were being told you were, but you really weren't. So, before we hop into the Oracle cards, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please drop those down below. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video. Something that I am kind of curious about, seeing what you guys have to say or think about them, as I've held up the cards and as I hold up the next ones, if you have any intuitive insights, any bursts of messages from Spirit, if you are feeling comfortable enough to share those, please let me know in the comments down below. It's always fun to hear other people's ideas about the cards. Intuition is one of the probably best ways that I found to learn the tarot. Like, you can learn all the keywords, learn all the special word, the exact meanings, but when you actually start working with the cards, the layers there are so powerful, and your intuition is plays such a huge role, and I got something moving around over here, plays such a huge role in developing and growth. So like I said, if you have any of those pop up, let me know if you're comfortable doing that. So we'll hop into the oracle. I pull 3 cards. Each card is going to be unique. It all may apply to the reading, or it may just be some information that Earth needs to hear. So, and if you want to pause and focus on a question or a suggestion, question, you're more than welcome to, and then we'll hop into the cards. So your first card is number 35, Merriment. Earth, tap into your inner child. Go back to where the simple things made you laugh. And sorry, we're going to be a little crude here. If you're a boy, fart jokes are great. It's an immediate 3rd grade response, and I really have only met a handful of people who didn't giggle when you start making them. Go back to the stuff that brought you giggles when you were younger. It doesn't matter how silly it is. Play with the top. Do imaginary stuff. Play D&D. That's a great way to get your imagination fired up too. But go back to doing the things that you had fun as a child. Remember who you were when you were little, and just the simple pleasure of doing something as crazy as rolling dice and imagining yourself to be a wizard fighting a dragon in your D&D game, or playing cards where you get to slap that draw 4 of Uno. Do the things that really make you happy and bring that joy back, where you just giggle. Even if it goes to full-blown belly laughs, that's even better. But bring the giggle forward, where you can actually enjoy yourself. That merriment that's the key to life. And that's what this reading is a little bit heavy, but what they're wanting to bring forward here at the end, the oracle, is find ways to lighten it, make it fun, make life happy and joyful again. Don't worry about what's going on in the news. Turn that thing off. Find reasons to be happy and just laugh. Tell dad jokes, whatever it is. Find reasons to laugh. So your second card is number 34. It's assessment time. Assess where you're at. What needs to be cleaned up? What needs to be shored up? What needs to be brought into balance? When you look at this card, you have all 4 elements tied in there in different forms. You have water, you have fire, you have a gnome for earth. This is an undine, by the way, so it's water. You also have a sylph floating around up here in the air. You have all the elements. You have all the tools that you need. The assessment is saying, are you willing to bring them into balance? Your challenge this month is the shaman or the magician, learning to understand and work with the tools that you've been given. The assessment is saying, you have actually a lot more tools at your disposal than you realize. Now it's time to assess what you actually have. And how does it apply to every situation you're in? When you go to work, what tools do you have to deal with the situations there? When you come home, what tools do you have to work at home? Working with your spouse. If you've got minions running amok, how do you rein them in? How do you work with your garden if you have one? How do you fix the things in your house, or who do you go to fix? Assess the tools that you have so that you are aware when something comes up, this is how I get to deal with it. And you get to deal with it because you're the one in charge. And that's actually a humongous gift when you start to realize my life is my decision, and I get to make the decisions. I get to point the arrow whatever direction I want to go. You're the one driving the car, however you want to look at it. The assessment is, what tools do you have at your disposal, and how are you going to use them? So your third, this is an interesting little set we got going on here. Your third card is number 46 with choices. What are you choosing to create this month? Are you choosing to follow your bliss? Are you choosing to follow your joy? Are you reaching into the heart of who you are? That inner child that comes up also with merriment here. Are you reaching into that and finding what brings you happiness? What makes you smile? What is it that allows your soul to expand? What choices have you made in the past that you had to learn from? They're not mistakes. You learned from them. And what choices are you making in the future? Based off of where you're at, based off of watching other people, what choices are you making to expand, to grow, and further develop yourself and deepen your relationship to God's Source Divine? Earth, this is a very powerful message that we've got going on here. A little bit of a challenge, but it's saying it's not a challenge that's negative. It's a challenge because you've forgotten parts of who you are, or you've been told that those parts weren't good enough. Source wants to tell you, Earth, you're good enough. Those people are in their darkness, they're dealing with their nonsense, and they're projecting. That's how your final outcome is. You've been told that you were tied up. You were told that you weren't good enough. That's where the Eight of Swords is saying, cut the illusions that are binding you. Free yourself and fly. Be the most amazing person that we all know you are. It's just a matter of pulling that person out of that shadow that we've stuffed it into. So, as you're going through this month, really embrace the joy, the laughter, and the beauty that life has offered you. This reading is saying there's going to be a little challenge, but it's not something you don't have the tools for. You may not understand how the tools work yet, but you will by the end of this next cycle of time for you. With that, I will let you guys go. Earth, have a great rest of your month, and I will see you in the next video.